4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, this is Ranch here, Pencil Commentary. This is going to be the first set between Flash and ForGG, aka Never, in the quarterfinals of Bigfile MSL. Here at the upper right-hand position in white, playing Terran, is going to be Flash. At the bottom right-hand position in blue, playing Terran as well, is going to be ForGG. Teammate battle ahoy. Their team, of course, recently in the Grand Finals. I'm not going to spoil that yet, but for those of you that haven't checked it out yet, Nuke and I dual cast the entire Pro League Grand Finals, and it's all up on Vile Attack. Go check it out. We had a lot of fun casting it. Good games. Overall, just a great finals. Not nearly as long as last summer, where we had it in two, in 2 days instead of just all in 1 day. So 7 games at the maximum. And just an overall fun series, and we had a lot of fun with it. So, if you enjoy our duels, just please go ahead, go check that out. So yeah, this is Meanwhile with Bigfile. I am casting this after the set finals, obviously. Decided to kind of watch those before I get to this. So this was actually played before the Grand Finals, though, so kind of give them a bit of a... We're going to see how it all kind of goes. Now, in TVT, I got to give Flash the huge advantage. An upset, especially in a best of 5, is going to be unlikely. But mind you, ForGG way back when, about 2 years ago, in the Arena MSL, beat Flash in the semifinals and went on to face Jaedong and beat him as well to win the Arena MSL. Now, that was a huge upset at the time. Everybody was just waiting and hoping for the first ever Flash versus Jaedong finals, because those two guys were just killing everything at the time. And, we were all looking forward to that. But that didn't happen thanks to some help. Let's see, seems like ForGG is going to go out there with a forward Rax. On the opposite side, seems like Flash might be going for a 14cc because he's not put down any single Rax yet. It does seem like he's going to go for that. Well, ForGG just went after that forward Rax just to kind of float it up. Maybe get one Marine out there to scout around or something like that. But for the most part, just going to be to float around and act as a spotter. Flash going to go for a barracks as well. A little bit behind on that. But, still going to be able to get out there. They're going to be able to maybe get his CC down sooner, because it does seem like he's going to one-rax in his CC. I've seen Terrans do this on TVT. Basically means that you're at least early on, you're going to still have some troops. It'll not as risky at going for 14cc, going for 14 command center, because you'll be able to have at least some troops out there if needed. So you'll be able to react to any early aggression that might be coming your way. It's just a little bit safer that way. ForGG going to go scout the lower left-hand position, as he also gets a Marine in there. Might be using that to scout to the upper right-hand position and spot Flash. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. ForGG is a guy that can bring an upset, because he's a guy that he'll analyze his opponents, and knowing Flash, he knows, he plays with him, been on the same team with him for over a year at this point, so he knows the player very well, should know. And he's a guy that can take pretty much anybody off guard with his crazy and zany timing attacks. TVT not his strongest suit, but still pretty good. Flash also going to, right now, put a bunker at the front of his natural expo just to keep it safe. Going to spot a Marine coming in here, so it's going to be Marine on Marine. And I'm not quite sure what ForGG going to try to go for this. He's going to back off for this. Yeah, he took some shots from the Marine from Flash, so not really going to be able to get ahead. Trying to go in there, sneak an SCV kill, but is going to be forced back. Flash even taking a couple SCVs off the line to stay safe, because he hasn't gotten the scout in ForGG yet, so he doesn't exactly know what could be facing, but he has a Marine inside of the bunker now. ForGG had a couple Marines going up, but he has a spot putting down his own command center. Meanwhile, has a factory going, so tech-wise he's going to have an advantage, and his command center is not really that far behind, so economically he's not going to be in bad position. Adding machine shop up there, so he might be... We're going to see what he actually tries to go for some early push, early aggression. He's a player that tends to want to do that, tends to want to put on a little bit of pressure. Flash is a guy that tends to play more defensive, turtle more, until he gets that army and starts pushing out. Because when Flash is allowed to turtle and sit inside his base and then push out, that push is usually so strong that opponents just crumble under it, because his macro is there, timing is there. So it does look like we're going to be seeing more tanks than anything else. No more units, no more CVs on the refinery for ForGG at the moment. So it does look like he's going to focus on economy a little bit. On the opposite side, do see Flash has his second refinery up, so he wants to get as much gas out there as possible. Has a vulture for GG before anything else. Does put down his second factory. But yeah, it's finally now getting some SCVs back to gas. Did seem he wanted to focus on other things for a little while. Get some vultures out there to start things off before he starts pumping maybe some tanks. Gets the barracks into Flash's base at the upper right-hand position. At this point, probably should be able to spot that starport at the upper right-hand position. Double starport, in fact, from Flash. This is very interesting. The barracks not sitting around. It's going to get shot. Doesn't seem like Does seem like that ForGG is actually going to float it away rather than try to get the scout, because a double starport here from Flash. This could be very interesting. Maybe going for some quick Wraith. ForGG is going to have to get a scout on that, so he doesn't get surprised by it, because he doesn't know that it's there yet. Just trying to float around his barracks to see if there's anything to spot. But he's should be able to save it, actually, with only 2 Marines attacking and not too much meal. 3 Vultures there with speed. Does seem like, yeah, they're going to be able to pass right through. He's going to go for harassment right here. Catching Flash off guard. Will also be able to get the scout. These Marines are not going to be along for life, and these SCVs are going to be in a lot of trouble. They're going to have to keep going off the line. ForGG just needs to keep his macro up. There is a tank out there for Flash, but just keep up his micro here and try to pick. He's going to get boxed in all amongst the SCVs, though, so yeah, only 1 Vulture managed to get through that. But that's unfortunate when you try to go among the SCVs, trying to avoid that tank actually getting that caught in. Not the best position to be in, but still has a bunch of Vultures with speed out there. Might be working on mines at this point, so it does seem like he's going to go heavy on that. Does put down an armory. Did spot the Starport's Academy coming up. There's also, he's getting himself ready just in case there are going to be cloak rates coming up for Flash. Does look like that's going to be the case. Not altogether too sure. There are 2 Starports, but because of the info at the top, I didn't quite spot whether they were being produced from both both starports, and didn't quite spot whether the control tower was flashing or not. Mines mill on now out there for the Vultures. So ForGG, meanwhile, gonna just make sure he has the scout, make sure he has map control, make sure he knows exactly what Flash is doing all the time. Adding a machine shop, so he's finally gonna start some tank production alongside those Vultures. Getting his armory and academy up, so he's going to have some comms stations as well. First Wraith going to go out there and finish off that barracks, going to force ForGG to add another one. But he has several mines out there for all of the additional bases. The Expo at the 3, and the exit across the bridge. So Flash at any point wants to move out. ForGG is going to have a spot on that. Cloak is being worked on. Meanwhile, a couple of Wraiths going to go to the natural expansion. ForGG is going to start harassing that. And going to be able to very easy to pick off a couple. There are a couple Marines in there trying to hold them back. Still didn't see an eBay out there, so ForGG is going to have to trust that his Goliaths can get the job done. Working on his comm stations at the moment. 3 Wraiths in here now for Flash. Even without Cloak, they're going to be able to do some damage. 1 Goliath in there. That's going to be able to push it back until Cloak. Yeah, there we go. Cloak kicks in just at the right time. Comm station still on the way, and Flash doing a great job just going for this harassing game, picking several SCVs off here and there, adding in factories. Meanwhile, back at home, Wraith's kind of, just the seconds Flash spotted that the comm stations were coming out, the Wraiths just sent back home. And did get some decent harass done, picked several SCVs off, got a full scout on everything. Meanwhile, well defended back home as siege tanks alongside barracks and a bunker to defend himself with. And these Wraiths just going to stay around. You got to be careful with them. They're just going to be to try to do as much damage as possible. Go for tanks. Might be able to pick that 1 tank out. Is going to... Oh, 1 more shot on that. Yes, is indeed going to go for it. Picks off 1 tank. And that already did early on. He's a heavy loss. Also can just 2-shot CVs at this point. So that's... allows his Wraiths to be significantly dangerous. But finally, ForGG does have enough Goliaths that isn't too bad a position for him to be in. Flash adding in additional machine shops right now as well. I think it was actually a starport that it was adding in alongside that. Going to go for a 3rd command center, so it does seem like he's going to try to float it towards the 12 o'clock position rather than the 9. ForGG, meanwhile, already building his 3rd command center, going to try to get there earlier. Did get his 2nd command center a little bit later than Flash did, so he's going to try to get his 3rd base going up sooner. He is going to be able to do so successfully as Flash pushes into that. But all those Vultures out in the field, I really don't think Flash is going to have to slow push with no auxiliary forces to his tanks. He's really not going to be able to do, other than those Wraiths that he's not really going to be able to push out. Because those Vultures are on the pipe. You need to have more auxiliary forces, more support if you're going to push out, because Vultures, they can get close in on siege tanks. They can get mines in. If Vultures significantly outnumber the siege tanks, they can go in and get close enough to do a significant amount of damage. There are already mines that are close by that I'm not quite sure if Flash knows. But he has that really strong intuition. He's a player that often relies on his intuition. Has 3 starports out there, so he's going to start working on a lot of Wraiths. Seems even kind of Midas-esque, I guess you could say. It kind of reminds me a little bit where Midas goes very heavy on the Wraiths and kind of utilizes them throughout the game. It was a TBT involving Midas, where he went for that earlier on in the season. I forget who he was playing against at the moment, but it was a very interesting TBT that unfortunately ended kind of disappointingly. But still overall interesting. Wraith's going to go in there yet again for Flash. Terran boosters, meanwhile, now ready for it. And is he going to scan or not? Doesn't seem like he's going to go. Wraith's is going to continue. Finally, there comes a scan in, and a couple of Wraith there went down. Terran boosters and comsat stations just do a, decent mix. Kind of different right now from StarCraft 2, because in StarCraft 2, every time you use a comsat station, you're not using a mule. Every time you use a scan, you're not using a mule, so you're kind of, oh god. And it's a lot more obvious when someone's scanning you. In the other game, you just had to kind of maybe spot the little yellow blue light, and if you didn't spot it in the like 2 seconds that it was there, you were screwed. But otherwise, in the other game, the entirety of the effectiveness of the scan in StarCraft 2, you get to see the gigantic light, which is kind of cool. So see Flash Mule kind of moving out across with tanks just north, little south to his position. Does seem like it's going to be floating his command. I think there's a little blip there at the 3 o'clock position. I'm sorry, but it does seem like it's just an SCV because the command center I can see their minimap floating towards the 12 o'clock position. Just has those rays out there to support those tanks, so he can just slowly push across and build a safe net around himself. He wants to kind of stretch it out from his bridge to his natural all the way to the entrance to the 12 o'clock position. ForGG, meanwhile, just milling around with 2 vultures across the map, has the 6 o'clock position defended himself. And I saw his armory up, so now they had the armory up for the Goliath. I'm hoping he's working on upgrades, so the very least he has that. Maybe if he manages to get some significant armor upgrades early on, he's going to have that advantage over Flash. It's not an advantage that stays for too long, but if you manage to get those weapon upgrades earlier than opponent, you might at least do something significant. Vulture is going to be forced to fight back. Yeah, when the tanks are in that large number and all sieged, especially if they're all kind of split up as well, Flash does. Vultures really, unless you manage to split them well, really don't do too bad. They just get shot to pieces before they can really get close enough to the tanks. Drops work significantly better, but with those raids across the field, threatening any possible, kind of threatens against any possibility of that. Meanwhile, ForGG has Goliaths and tanks and not really much else, so you basically tank. It's going to be more tank on tank. Goliath's forcing the Wraiths back, and that's going to be pretty much it. Meanwhile, tank and Goliath's going to go here towards the 3 o'clock position, kill an SCV that Flash had there. Still not altogether too sure whether ForGG knows about that base that Flash has at the 12th. Meanwhile, now going to send an SCV towards the upper left-hand position to expand, and again, but there's a Vulture waiting there for it to execute, take its life. Really, game-wise, I can't really say one player has an advantage over the other. ForGG going to be able to get his 4th base, as long as that base doesn't get cancelled by raids, maybe the SCV picked up, then ForGG should be able to get his base up significantly sooner. 4th base significantly sooner than Flash, so economically he's catching up, he's playing a good game. And Flash going to expand towards the natural expansion to the other upper left hand. Does seem like he's actually sending an SCV up towards the upper left hand as well to expand. And might see ForGG actually expand towards the main of the lower left-hand position as well. So it's going to be a lot of expo, very economic, very long. Just has the setup to be a very long game because both players playing very safe, very economically, not being too aggressive overall. Flash is trying to find openings to be aggressive with those wraiths. And but ForGG has kind of set his own defensive net far to the lower left-hand. That SCV might actually get killed. Yep, does get picked off before picks up the command center. ForGG actually should have seen that coming. Now that I think about it, saw those wraiths flying around, should have known that he might get caught. Actually managed to get a few wraiths in the trade, but not too much, seeing as how Flash is constantly producing these. And ForGG meanwhile is going to have to go in there and complete building.